The human experience is defined by the search for belonging, a universal quest to find one's place within the intricate tapestry of modern society. For decades, the conventional narratives of identity have relied on neat, distinct categories, sorting individuals into specific boxes based on geography, language, and ancestral heritage. Yet, beneath the surface of these rigid classifications lies a rapidly growing reality that challenges the very foundations of how we define community and self. Across the globe, millions of individuals exist at the crossroads of multiple worlds, navigating the subtle and often invisible boundaries between distinct cultural lineages. This intricate existence is not merely a modern phenomenon, but a deeply personal journey shared by a diverse group of individuals who find themselves constantly balancing different aspects of their heritage. They are the living bridge between historical traditions, moving through a world that frequently demands they choose one identity over another, or prove their authenticity to communities that look at them with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism to understand this journey. One must look beyond the public personas and celebrated achievements that often define these individuals in the eyes of the media. Behind the glamour of international stages, the roar of athletic stadiums, and the praise of cinematic success lies a shared foundation built on childhood memories, complex family dynamics, and the quiet struggle to find a sense of security. Growing up in a multicultural household means experiencing a unique blend of traditions, where holiday tables might feature dishes from entirely different continents, and household conversations might shift between languages spoken by grandparents from opposite sides of the world. These domestic environments often serve as a protected sanctuary, a space where the contradictions of multiple heritages coexist naturally and beautifully. Within the walls of the home, there is no need for explanation, no requirement to fit into a pre-existing social compartment, and no pressure to justify one's appearance or choice of words. It is a place of instinctual comfort, where identity is absorbed through the senses, through the aroma of traditional cooking, the rhythm of native speech, and the unconditional affection of family members who represent the physical union of different histories. However, the true test of this identity almost inevitably occurs the moment an individual steps outside that protected domestic circle and pushes up against the realities of the wider world. It is in the public sphere, in school corridors, neighborhood playgrounds, and daily social interactions where the complex reality of a mixed heritage becomes an object of public scrutiny. For many children, the realization that their family structure is viewed as unusual by society comes as a sudden and unsettling revelation. The outside world, with its deeply ingrained habits of categorization, often struggles to comprehend the intersection of multiple backgrounds, leading to a unique set of challenges that can leave a lasting impression on a developing mind. Classmates, teachers, and even strangers frequently project their own confusion, asking questions that imply a fundamental incompatibility between the different branches of a child's family tree. These early experiences can introduce a lingering sense of insecurity, forcing young individuals to become hyper-aware of how they are perceived, and prompting them to navigate social spaces with a heightened degree of caution. As we begin to explore these profound personal narratives and examine the hidden complexities of navigating multiple cultural worlds, we invite you to become a part of our growing community. If you find these stories of identity, resilience, and personal discovery meaningful, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue bringing you deep, thoughtful explorations of the diverse human experiences that shape our global culture, ensuring that these vital perspectives are shared with audiences around the world. By joining us, you help create a space where complex stories are told with the nuance and depth they truly deserve. The challenges of growing up at the intersection of different traditions are further compounded by the physical expressions of heritage, as the modern world frequently relies on visual cues to determine an individual's identity. When a child's appearance does not neatly align with the expectations of a single group, they may experience a distinct form of social isolation, finding themselves excluded by multiple communities simultaneously. Peers from one side of their background may view them as an outsider due to subtle differences in features, speech patterns, or cultural references, while those from the other side may reject them for the exact same reasons. This double exclusion creates a strange paradox, leaving the individual to navigate a social landscape where they are deemed too different to belong fully to any established group, yet too connected to be completely separate. This experience of occupying a middle ground can turn social interactions into a delicate balancing act, as individuals learn to adapt their behavior and language depending on the environment. Becoming social chameleons in an effort to find safety and acceptance, this necessity to navigate different cultural expectations often leads to the development of a unique mental resilience, a protective armor forged through years of managing the subtle pressures of public perception. From a young age, individuals of mixed heritage learn to recognize the implicit biases that govern social spaces, observing how communities measure authenticity and belonging. They quickly become aware that society often attempts to quantify their identity, questioning the depth of their connection to a particular culture based on arbitrary standards such as language proficiency, geographic upbringing, or aesthetic presentation. These continuous evaluations can create an internal struggle as individuals grapple with the pressure to emphasize one aspect of their background over another to satisfy the expectations of those around them. Yet, it is precisely through this ongoing negotiation with the world that many begin to discover the unique strength of their position. Recognizing that their ability to understand and empathize with different perspectives is a profound asset rather than a limitation. The journey towards self-acceptance is rarely a straightforward path, but rather a continuous evolution that unfolds over decades, shaped by the shifting dynamics of life experience and mature reflection. In the early stages of life, the dominant impulse is often to blend in, to minimize differences, and to avoid drawing attention to the unique aspects of one's lineage. The desire for conformity can lead to a temporary suppression of certain traditions, as young people attempt to align themselves with the dominant culture of their immediate environment. However, as time passes and individuals gain a deeper understanding of the world, a significant shift frequently occurs. The older one gets, the more the desire to conform gives way to a profound pride in the complexity of their origins, a conscious decision to embrace every branch of their family history without compromise. This transition marks the beginning of a powerful reclaiming of identity, where the individual no longer allows external definitions to dictate their sense of self, but instead chooses to stand firmly in the full expression of their heritage, paving the way for a deeper exploration of the stories that brought them into being. The delicate balance of living between distinct cultural worlds often manifests in sudden, vivid moments that force an individual to confront the rigid boundaries established by society. These encounters frequently happen during the formative years of childhood and adolescence, when the desire for pure acceptance is at its absolute peak. For many who carry a multifaceted heritage, the school environment becomes the primary arena where these complexities are exposed to public view. The simple act of a parent picking up their child from school or bringing them a forgotten lunch can trigger an unexpected wave of anxiety. In a room filled with children who are accustomed to singular, uniform identities, the appearance of a mother or father who looks entirely different from what heritages might suggest can disrupt the fragile social equilibrium. Classmates, lacking the vocabulary or maturity to comprehend such nuances, often resort to teasing open disbelief or harsh labels that sting with a persistent intensity. The phrases and questions directed at mixed-race children in these moments are rarely innocent curiosity. Instead, they serve as a social mechanism that reinforces exclusion, leaving the young individual to carry a heavy burden of self-consciousness into their daily interactions. This scrutiny does not disappear as one moves from the playground into the professional sphere. Rather, it evolves into more sophisticated and pervasive forms of exclusion. In industries that depend heavily on visual representation, such as television, film, and fashion, the modern obsession with classification creates immense obstacles for those who possess a blended heritage. Audition rooms and casting offices frequently transform into spaces where an individual's authentic self is subjected to arbitrary measurements of racial purity. Talent executives and creative directors, operating under the assumption that audiences require neat, easily identifiable stereotypes, will openly state that an applicant is not Asian enough for a specific role, while simultaneously declaring that they are not white enough for an open ethnicity casting. This continuous rejection, based on shifting percentages and visual expectations, creates a profound sense of frustration, forcing performers to realize that their entire career may be dictated by how well they fit into pre-existing commercial compartments. The pressure to conform to an industry standard can lead to suggestions that an individual should alter their natural appearance, straighten their hair, or adjust their makeup to appear more definitively aligned with one specific demographic, effectively erasing the rich complexity of their actual background. Even when success is achieved on an international level, the public discourse surrounding an individual's identity can remain highly contentious, fueled by external commentators who feel entitled to define who belongs to a community. Becoming the first representative of a specific heritage to win a major cultural milestone or an international accolade often invites a torrent of public commentary and digital backlash. Instead of being celebrated for their achievements, these trailblazing individuals are frequently subjected to intense debates regarding their legitimacy and skin color. Detractors will argue that a person of mixed descent cannot truly embody the values or traditions of a nation, utilizing traditional customs and rigid definitions of nationality as weapons of exclusion. This public questioning of an individual's identity can be deeply painful, yet it also provides a powerful motivation to transform personal vulnerability into a broader mission. The platform achieved through public visibility becomes a vital tool for raising awareness about systemic discrimination, allowing these figures to demonstrate that identity is not a zero-sum game, and that a deep respect for traditional etiquette and cultural values can coexist with a complex global heritage. The tension of this dual existence is also deeply embedded in the internal dynamics of mixed families, where the legacy of past generations can cast a long shadow over the present. Parents, acutely aware of the systemic barriers and prejudices that exist in the world, often face profound moral dilemmas regarding how to raise their children. In some instances, the desire to protect a child from discrimination and grant them every possible social advantage in a biased society leads to a subconscious process of assimilation. This protective strategy can involve a painful, silent decision to minimize the visible aspects of a specific culture, discouraging the use of a native language or downplaying ancestral traditions in public spaces. As these children grow older and enter mature environments, they frequently experience a profound sense of historical grief and disconnect, recognizing that the very choices made to ensure their survival also created a barrier between them and their extended family. They may find themselves traveling to the homelands of their ancestors, attempting to reconstruct broken linguistic bridges with grandparents and aunts, while carrying a deep awareness of the immense sacrifices that allowed them to exist in the first place. This process of navigating external expectations is further complicated by the concept of presentation, where the specific way an individual's physical features are perceived by society determines the level of privilege or disadvantage they encounter. Those whose appearance allows them to pass seamlessly within a dominant demographic often experience a unique form of internal guilt. They are fully aware that their daily lives are free from the overt hostility, microaggressions, and systemic dangers faced by relatives who possess more distinct ancestral features. Yet, this visual assimilation does not erase the internal struggles, the feeling of disconnect from an authentic family heritage, or the awkward encounters where servers or strangers misidentify their relationship to their own parents. The contrast between internal identity and external perception creates a continuous friction, as individuals are forced to recognize that the world reacts entirely to the surface of who they are, ignoring the rich, multi-layered history that defines their private emotional landscape. Ultimately, The collective experience of living within these cultural intersections reveals that the challenges faced by individuals of diverse heritages are remarkably consistent, regardless of the specific geographic origins involved. Whether balancing European, Asian, African, or indigenous lineages, the internal struggles against isolation, the pressure to choose a single side, and the search for authentic representation remain universal. This shared reality creates a powerful, unspoken bond among those who exist in the middle grounds of society, a sense of belonging to a community that does not require a singular definition. As these individuals continue to share their personal histories, they challenge the traditional frameworks of identity, forcing the world to acknowledge that culture is not a rigid box to be guarded, but a dynamic, fluid stream that can be enriched by multiple sources simultaneously. The tension of their experiences does not diminish the value of their origins. Instead, it highlights the profound courage required to live authentically in a world that is still learning to accept the beauty of complexity. The culmination of this lifelong journey through multiple heritages leads to a profound realization. Identity is not something to be measured by others, nor is it a puzzle that requires external validation. For many individuals who have spent years navigating the complex gray zones of societal categorization, reaching maturity brings a decisive shift in perspective. The constant pressure to prove one's authenticity to different communities begins to dissolve, replaced by an enduring confidence in the legitimacy of their own lived experiences. They come to understand that carrying the bloodlines of distant continents, speaking different languages at home, and embodying a unique fusion of global histories does not make them partial members of society. Instead, it grants them a complete, singular identity that is entirely their own. This internal resolution allows them to reject the simplistic boxes created by external observers and stand firmly as the true authors of their own narratives, realizing that if a culture runs through their veins, it cannot be quantified or taken away by anyone else. This sense of personal sovereignty becomes particularly powerful when individuals choose to actively engage with the specific customs and responsibilities that have been passed down through their lineages. Across various global traditions, heritage is often anchored by profound structural roles, familial expectations, and sacred cultural titles that demand immense dedication. When an individual is called upon to carry forward a traditional mantle, such as a localized leadership title or a generational custom from a remote ancestral village, the weight of that responsibility can evoke deep introspection. They may grapple with feelings of inadequacy, worrying that a lack of complete fluency in a traditional language or an upbringing far removed from the homeland might disqualify them from serving their community effectively. Yet, it is precisely within these moments of vulnerability that the true depth of connection is revealed. By stepping forward to honor these generational obligations, individuals demonstrate that respect, intent, and an enduring pride in one's origins are far more meaningful than rigid definitions of cultural perfection, transforming ancient traditions into living, breathing aspects of the modern world. Furthermore, this reclamation of identity has a transformative impact on how individuals interpret their roles within the creative and public spheres. Those who have achieved significant visibility in the arts, sports, or literature often use their hard-won platforms to dismantle the very stereotypes that once sought to limit them. Rather than allowing commercial industries to treat their multifaceted backgrounds as a marketing curiosity or a casting obstacle, they begin to view their unique position as an asset of profound significance. They recognize that their presence on global screens, fashion covers, and international stages serves as a vital beacon for younger generations who are currently enduring the same feelings of isolation they once faced. By portraying complex, multidimensional characters and speaking candidly about their personal histories, they actively expand the cultural imagination of the public, proving that an individual's background does not dictate their boundaries. This intentional representation helps to dismantle the rigid, two-dimensional archetypes that have historically dominated mainstream media, replacing them with authentic, nuanced depictions of global human experiences. At the heart of this enduring resilience is a deep appreciation for the unique domestic environments that shaped their early understanding of the world. The childhood memories of eating traditional dishes prepared by grandparents, observing distinct cultural etiquettes within the safety of the home, and experiencing the contrasting celebrations of diverse family members are no longer viewed as sources of confusion, but as a rich tapestry of foundational strength. These distinct family dynamics instill a rare capacity for empathy, allowing individuals to move through a deeply divided world with an inherent understanding that different communities possess different ways of communicating and interpreting reality. They can enter diverse spaces without fear or a defensive need to conform, possessing a natural ability to find common ground with people from all walks of life. This unique perspective transforms the apparent contradictions of a mixed heritage into a powerful source of social cohesion, enabling individuals to serve as natural diplomats who can bridge the gaps between seemingly disparate worlds. The ongoing evolution of these personal narratives also highlights a significant generational shift in how society approaches the concept of multiculturalism. While the social landscapes of past decades were often marked by a severe lack of understanding and an intense pressure for total assimilation, the contemporary world is gradually moving toward a greater acceptance of complexity. The conversations taking place today are increasingly focused on recognizing the institutional privileges and historical disadvantages that affect different branches of a family tree, fostering a more sophisticated dialogue about race, representation, and belonging. This progress is driven by the courage of individuals who refuse to suppress any part of their lineage, choosing instead to celebrate the full spectrum of their ancestral histories. Their collective voices are establishing a new cultural standard, one that acknowledges that America and the wider global community are intricate melting pots where everyone's history is intertwined, and where no single group holds a monopoly on cultural authenticity. As this definitive chapter of our exploration draws to a close, the stories of these diverse individuals remind us that the human spirit possesses an incredible capacity to find harmony amid complexity. The struggles against childhood bullying, the frustrations of professional gatekeeping, and the internal negotiations with ancestral grief are not merely historical footnotes. They are the exact elements that forge an unbreakable mental armor. The journey towards self-actualization is ultimately about embracing the entire scope of one's origin story, recognizing that the beauty of a blended heritage lies in its ability to defy simplicity. By standing tall in the fullness of who they are, these individuals are not just surviving in a world of rigid categories. They are actively leading a profound revolution in how humanity understands identity, ensuring that the future will be a place where every unique fusion of culture is recognized as a complete and magnificent expression of the human experience.